North Korea's ballistic missile program is obviously of great international interest because of the way in which it threatens regional stability, but also potentially international stability. Now, mid 2015, we've seen a number of developments, both in its ballistic missile submarine program and also in its satellite launch vehicle program, that are of a great interest to international observers. In May 2015, North Korea announced that it had successfully launched a submarine-launched ballistic missile off its coast in Sinpo. When we looked at that imagery, we assessed that what they had achieved was basically what we call a test launch or a ejection launch, which was just to show that they could get a submarine-launched ballistic missile out of the water, probably burnt for about 100 feet up into the air and then splashed back down. It's quite interesting because it's the first time we've seen this. Although there has been evidence that they've been working on this program since 2014. What we do think is that some of the images that were published by the North Koreans were staged. Certainly we don't believe it came out of an actual submarine, we believe it came out of a test rig. But nonetheless, this is quite a large development. It's a major development for its ballistic missile capabilities. Whether we can assess that it's going to actually turn into something that it could weaponize and then threaten regional actors or even somewhere as far as the United States, that remains to be seen. Not least because the Sinpo class submarine that we've seen at the site, which we believe would be the test or the active submarine that it would launch a missile from, seems quite rudimentary in its technology. It's based on what we believe to be 1950s, 1960s Soviet technology. So it'd probably be quite easy for the US or its allies to detect if it was out on operations. In the past 2 years, we've seen a lot of developments at North Korea's Sohae Satellite Launch Center. Sohae is an interesting site because it was the location for its 2012 Unha-3 launches, the first of which ended in failure, second of which in December 2012 succeeded in putting a very small satellite in orbit. So in the past 2 years, North Korea spent a lot of money and invested a lot of time and effort in upgrading the Sohae site. What we've seen is some real major improvements to the launch pad to allow it to launch a larger rocket. It's also developed a rail network that allows it to move various stages of missiles or launch vehicle to the launch pad more easily, and also in a way that conceals it. So it's harder for external viewers, such as ourselves or the US or other interested parties, to actually understand what's going on at the launch site generally. The Sohae launch site is very interesting because it's become the dominant site for North Korean launch capabilities. The Musudan site, which was used previously, seems to have kind of gone into have been mothballed, whereas Sohae, partly because it faces away from Japan and so is diplomatically less sensitive if something goes wrong, seems to be the priority site for North Korea now. If we look at what's happened in 2015, really all the developments I've talked about in terms of concealing the launches or concealing the development or preparations for launches are going ahead. The launch pad itself seems to be close to completion. Now this looks like we could expect some kind of satellite launch in August or October 2015. North Korea tends to time its launches around major anniversaries or historical kind of dates of interest for the regime. So we're looking at maybe mid-August or mid-October, both of which have big dates in the regime's calendar.